Good morning. Do we all know that there are more than 30 crores of people in the world who cannot see properly? They have the physical disability. We call them the blind. Now, when in the 18th century, there was a problem when the military officers discussed in the nights about their war plans. When they had put on the lights in their tents and were discussing, because of the lights, the enemies were able to know about their whereabouts. And so, Napoleon wanted a solution for this. And a young, bright captain called Braille found out a solution. He told that with a leather sheet and some pinned indications which could be deciphered as letters, the soldiers could communicate with each other without lights during nights. They were able to give commands, instructions to each other. The World Braille Day, which has been celebrated on the 4th of January every year throughout the world, observes the birthday of Louis Braille, who is the author behind the Braille method of reading, which is used by the blind people. The Braille's method was crude, and there were 12 dots which had to be felt through the fingers and converted into letters and read and understood. Now, it's an interesting story of Louis Braille which brought about this breathtaking invention, which is of very great use to humanity. Louis Braille was born to a small workshop owner in a tiny village away from Paris in France. So Louis Braille was a very active child, and unfortunately at the age of 3, he met with an accident in the industry. Actually, he took an awl, AWL, a small instrument which has got sharp ends like a needle, and carelessly he handled it and he lost his sight. Between the age of 3 and 6, he gradually lost his complete sight. So his father admitted him in the blind school in Paris, where Braille came and gave lectures about this reading method called night reading. Now, Louis Braille was a very intelligent boy and extremely enterprising. All the more, he was interested in reading a lot of books. In fact, when he studied there in the blind school, he was ill-treated by almost all the senior boys and even the head of the institution, called one Mr. Dufault. Luckily for him, there was a kind warden called Mr. Pinier, who took pity on the boy and who appreciated the enthusiasm of the boy. So he was a constant support to Louis Braille. When Braille came and gave the lecture and all the students were watching, Braille started thinking seriously about two things. One is whether he could make it simpler for all the blind people to be able to read. So he was experimenting. He was bullied by all his seniors in the hostel because he didn't sleep at all. It was very cold, very difficult, damp conditions in that hostel. But Louis Braille was extremely enthusiastic and tireless. So years together, he worked hard. And at the age of 15, in 1824, he invented this Braille reading method, where in a revolutionary manner, from 12 dots for a single letter, he brought it down to 6 dots for a letter. He made the process simpler, and he made all his classmates and seniors in the school read it, enjoy it, and he started transcribing a lot of stuff from the school library. He became popular. Initially, Mr. Dufault, the head of the institution, was dead against him. But then when everybody started appreciating him, he couldn't but support him. And he was given a grant by one foundation person, grant of money to support his project. He was constantly working, not taking care of his health at all. Unfortunately, at the age of 43, those days there was no medicine for TB. He was suffering from tuberculosis, and he died at the age of 43. You would be surprised to know that initially his own university did not accept his method, and the head of the institution, Dufault, burnt all the literature he had, and he saw to it that it didn't become popular. But slowly, after his death, in 2 years' time, his method reached many countries, and in the 1900s, the whole world was taken by storm by this magnificent method, the Braille method. Everybody started appreciating him, and you know what? The body of Louis Braille, which was buried in a small village that I told, after 100 years, was taken back again and buried among the topmost VIPs of the world in a graveyard in Paris. One of the asteroids in our system has been named after Louis Braille as the Braille asteroid. It's remarkable. He is one such person who got so much glorified after his death, because his program, his method, Braille method, is incomparable, unparalleled, and the most efficient and popular till today throughout the world. And that is a very important contribution. And today, the top-notch success stories, even in India. For example, there are some remarkable IAS and IFS officers who have been national heroes and heroines who are blind, who have been extremely successful in their profession. So there are doctors, there are lawyers, there are engineers, there are collectors, and there are all kinds of thinkers, writers, philosophers, speakers, directors, actors, people in every department, outstanding people, have been coming out of the blind community. And this has been possible due to this Braille method. We owe a lot to Louis Braille. The entire humanity owes a lot to Louis Braille. Thank you.